all very welcome to our session this morning. My name is Geraldine O'Reilly and I work at Clio as a community and events manager, and I'm delighted to be bringing you today's event. So this is our 6th in our year-long Making of a Law Firm series. Starting a law firm is tough and building your firm can be even tougher, especially in times when it's difficult to meet up with people in person, although I know some of you have been doing that. But it's not just as easy as it was before. So we decided to support the community via an online monthly event series, which will run throughout 2021. We're just around halfway there. And we'll follow 4 law firm leaders who are all on the road to building new and successful UK law firms. Today, we'll be discussing technology and how to go about identifying technological needs, as well as choosing what offerings best suit your firm's needs. Today and throughout the year, it would be really appreciated if you could share your support for the series and for our leaders on social media using the hashtag Making a Law Firm. Our leaders are taking time out of very busy startup schedules to come and share their experiences with the community. So they deserve a thank you here and there along the way. So this morning, we have asked 2 of our leaders to rejoin us for this subject. So first up, and a thank you to Kim Cross. Kim is actually stepping in. Unfortunately, Natalie couldn't join us this morning, one of our other leaders. So Kim answered the call at the last moment and is joining us from Vine Law. And Kim is a solicitor who initially qualified in Australia and moved to the UK in 2009. With co-founders Melinda Smith and Kath Collins, Kim started Vine Law in 2020 with the mission to build a firm that focuses on providing exceptional client service and is a great place to work as well. We've also got Elena joining us from the Injury Solicitor. So Elena in 2020, after seeing the legal services could be delivered from almost anywhere, decided to launch her own firm. Specializing in personal injury law and being a small firm, Elena is able to offer clients a personalized service, which you simply don't get from large firms in the UK. So thank you, Elena, and thank you, Kim, for joining us. Really excited to have you here this morning. So before we get into it today, I do want to call out a couple of housekeeping items. So today's session will be 60 minutes in length. We will be recording and we want lots of Q&A. So if you have questions, please do pop them into the chat window. And just if you want for attendees to see those questions or comments, you can select panelists and the attendee in the dropdown, and that will make sure that everyone's seeing your comments. Or you can send it just privately as well. And you can also use the Q&A function as well if that's a question that you just want to go to our panelists. It's always helpful as well to call out who the question is for. So if you have a specific question for someone, let us know as well. Just pop their name in it as well. Great. So as mentioned, I work at Clio, and Clio is on a mission to transform the legal experience for all. And being the market leader for legal technology means that we have an added responsibility to set the tone for the next generation and to help ensure that technology shaping legal experiences is also serving the greater good. And I want to recognise that this series is part of that overall mission. Now, usually at this point, I will call out that we won't be going into a lot of detail on Clio in this series. However, today is probably a little bit of an exception to that, in that the focus for today's session is technology. And both of our leaders have a commonality in that they've not only chosen to run digital first firms, but they've chosen Clio to be there and part of the tech stack from the beginning. So I'm going to spend a brief moment explaining just how Clio has sought to reimagine the technology lawyers use and explain that a little bit more and how it's used to manage businesses and solve for the pains legal professionals and their clients experience today, whilst also building solutions well into the future. So I'd first like to focus on Clio's core solution, Clio Manage, the first to market an industry-leading legal case management software that helps manage clients, organize cases, automate tedious tasks and month-to-end billing, which I know many of you are probably going through at the moment. Once solicitors log into their Clio Manage accounts, they can access everything they need to handle cases from intake right through to invoice. Cases, contacts, clients, and communications are all available and linked directly to each other, making Clio that central hub for your law firm. And this includes unlimited document storage as part of Clio's built-in document management system. And as Clio is a true cloud service provider, storage limits are no longer a concern for law firms, and they're growing collections of electronically stored information. In addition to case management, Clio combines accurate time recording and a billing solution that transforms billing from a week-long chore to a task that takes mere minutes. Lawyers can generate bills, share them with clients via email or via secure client portal known as Clio Connect, and track client funds. So that's a little bit on Clio's core solution, Clio Manage. We also, earlier this month, I know many of you probably attended our session on this. Earlier this month, we announced some exciting news, the addition of Clio Grow to our offering worldwide. And Clio Grow enables law firms to deliver a more efficient and client-centered experience by automating that client intake process. So with it, you can keep tabs on the status of every client at a glance using an easy-to-use CRM dashboard, and create workflows to automate your most important tasks like appointment reminders and client follow-up. On the intake side, you'll be able to engage and retain new clients in a matter of moments, all in the cloud, while working from anywhere. And you can also eliminate tedious back and forth, so often including double admin. So for example, with appointment booking, our appointment booking system makes it easy for your clients to book appointments for not just your clients, but also for you as well. And you can generate documents. So generate documents that clients can sign and return electronically, all online. So there's no more queuing at the post office or not knowing where the document is at. You get notifications as well on that too. So these are just some of the features of the new Clio Grow solution, and together the Clio Manage and Clio Grow solution form a package known as Clio Suite. So for those of you who've been on our website before or go to it now, you'll see different packages now available. However, you can also operate on Clio Manage alone as well. So I want to mention that we won't achieve our mission of transforming the legal experience for all alone. That's why we work with over 66 law societies and bar associations worldwide, including the Law Society of England and Wales and the Law Society of Scotland, which I know many of you are attending from. And we partner with over 80 of the best technologies out there to create a strong ecosystem and network of choice for law firms as well. So there's an overwhelming amount of technology available for businesses today, and the options are only growing, especially when you look at legal tech specific options. I just described two of them, Clio Grow and Clio Manage. But why is that the case? Why are those options growing? Well, the industry is ripe for innovation right now, and COVID-19 has shown that the demand from clients is there. A new report by Law Tech UK found that the UK legal technology sector has potentially 22 billion annual market opportunity. And if we look at the company I work for, Clio, this year we just went through a Series E funding round, becoming the first legal practice management unicorn globally. Another independent study by the University of Oxford on behalf of the SRA, I think it was just earlier this week, found that the use of existing technology has soared over the past 18 months, with most firms now using video conferencing to meet with clients, and a huge chunk, 2/3, storing data in the cloud. So the majority of firms reported that changes made during COVID are not going away, they're here to stay. But with all of that fast-paced change, growing options, how does a firm, and especially a newer firm, decide what technology is needed? And when is the right time, and what option should they go with? So we've asked Elena and Kim to help us understand that, and how they manage choice and why they chose for their firm to be digital first from the get-go. So at this point, I'd like to invite Elena and Kim to join us. If you're muted, to unmute, and we'll get into our conversation. And if anyone has questions, please do pop them in. We'll cover off on those as well. Brilliant. So Elena, I'm going to come to you first. Digital first, what does this mean to your firm?
Good morning, everyone. That's a good question, Geraldine. So in all honesty, I don't really know. So when I was starting my firm, I knew I did not want to be tied down to a desk. Like, I didn't want to just be stuck at my desk, not being able to leave it, not be able to get calls through on my mobile, not be able to access my files on my mobile. So that to me was a real priority, to really find a product that would be able to allow me to access like client information from anywhere, because I knew I'd be starting on my own as well. That was quite important to me. I wouldn't sort of have somebody else there who I could be like, oh, are you in the office, or are you at your desk? Can you find out what's going on this file for an update? So I knew I wanted that flexibility and that freedom to not be tied to my desk all the time. And that's where I sort of, so I knew I would want a case management system from the get-go. It wasn't an option. Like, being a personal injury solicitor, I'd have access to a lot of sensitive information, medical records, pleadings, things like that. So I knew I would want a case management system from the very beginning, to be able to save all that information and to have everything streamlined and everything in one place. So when I was looking for case management systems, and this isn't sort of like a sales pitch for Clio or anything, but what I will say, was one of the very few case management systems out there that could offer all of those things. So you could have an app on your phone, which is brilliant, because if clients contact you through WhatsApp or through Messenger or through your mobile, you can save that information straight away into the app. You can also see everything that's on that file in your phone, in the palm of your hand, which to me previously, where I'd worked with visual files and Proclaim for so many years, I couldn't do that. So you would have to log on, you'd have to log on to your server and then go into the case management system and then go into the file. So it was just that flexibility where I was setting up my own firm, I realized actually there are so many better options out there. When you're employed in a firm and you're working there, you're using a system that, that they have. You don't have a say over that. You don't have an option over that. You just deal with it. And there's so many frustrations in that. Like, I still remember I was thinking ahead, to this session about, this time last year, I wasn't self-employed. I didn't have my own firm. I was working in another firm. And I remember there was so many things that I felt so frustrated with the systems that they had, that I thought, I don't want to repeat that. If you start your own firm, you start your own business, you want to do better. And you've got to really think about, what are the things that frustrate me at the moment, and what can I do to improve them? I don't want to just have those frustrations again when I'm self-employed, having to deal with them yourself when there's a better option out there. So to me, that's where Clio came in. You could have the app. It wasn't actually anywhere near as expensive as I thought it was going to be. I know Proclaim visual files, they can be very expensive. Even though they're so widely used, they're still very expensive. And if you're starting a small firm, you want to keep, your expenses as low as you possibly can, but also not compromise on the quality of the technology that you're going to be investing in. And the one really amazing thing about Clio, and I recommend anybody who's interested in setting up a firm, is to take that 7-day free trial. You won't get the full feel of it, because until you've actually got live cases that you can run and you can automate all your documents, you probably won't see the true extent of what it's like to be a Clio user. But it does actually, gives you like a feel for how the system looks, and how it operates, and you can have a little play about with it and see whether it's something that you feel comfortable using. And to me, I think I was just really, really sick of using the same case management system for so many years. For 7 years, I used Proclaim, and I wanted a bit of a change, and it's a really easy system to use.
Elena, when it came to going back, and you were figuring out, the steps for starting your firm, did you actually sit down and decide, okay, these are the things that I want in my, whether it be your case management vendor or whatever software you're using, email, whatever, did you actually kind of go through that process?
Yeah, so I had a huge list, which was like pages and pages long, of all the things I needed to sort out to launch this firm. And technology was up there because I knew how important it was going to be to the business. It's essential, really. And I had a list, right? So I knew I needed a phone line. So and that's actually quite tricky in itself, because you start to think, right, well, what am I going to use? Am I going to use my mobile phone? Do I want my clients to have my personal number? Or am I going to get a different phone just to use for my business? And And in the end, I knew I needed a landline as well. So I don't have like a landline phone in my house. I was like, well, how do I get an 0161 number, which is your local number for Manchester? How do I get one of those so that my clients aren't just having to ring a mobile number, or the insurance companies aren't having to ring a mobile number, or solicitors aren't having to ring my personal mobile number? So that in itself actually became more of an issue than you would probably first think. Right? How do you set up a local landline number? Well, there's companies out there that firstly will give you an 0161 number, or whichever number you want to use. You don't have to have a landline or a phone or anything like that. So I use a company called Retail, and I did a lot of research to find these guys, and I knew I wanted call recording as well. That to me was like, it was non-negotiable. I wanted my calls recording. It makes life a lot easier. If you've never had your calls recorded before in your office, then you might sort of think, well, it's not necessary, I don't need it, we type up all our phone notes anyway. But actually it makes a huge difference. And I find that, you know, it improves sort of the way I work. Like I don't have, like if I forget something, I don't have to call the client up and ask them again. I can just listen back to that call recording when it comes to drafting witness statements. So there was a few things that were non-negotiables, and they were having a landline number, and having my calls recorded, and also having those calls come through on my mobile. So this small thing of just having a number for clients to call actually became this huge issue. But once you find the right company who are able to offer you all of that, so you get a software app on your laptop, and you get an app that you download off the App Store on your mobile phone. You log into both, and it has all your details there, and you can make calls off your mobile. It records calls when you're making them or receiving them on your mobile, and the same for your desktop as well. And I just have a headset, and I just use that pretty much all day, every day, and I can just be on the phone. The calls are recorded, makes my life so much easier. And I know there's sort of this whole thing where people move away from phone calls, and they're almost seen a little bit old school, but actually I really like that communication, and I can settle my cases a lot quicker. I can get the information from my clients a lot quicker, and I can progress those cases quicker if I'm using the phone. And then the other thing, obviously, emails essential. You've got to have, you know, I don't think there's any sort of question about whether you need to get an email, and you do, and you want to have your professional email that's going to really link with your website. And you can get all that when you're setting your website up. So when you buy your domain name, get your emails as well. There was an issue as to what do you have as your email? Do you have it your name, your first name, your last name? Do you just have it as hello at the Injury Solicitor? So I just got a couple, and I got my name, which is Elena, and it at the Injury Solicitor, and that works really, really well, because it builds that relationship with the clients when they're like, oh, you're Elena, yeah, we've got your emails, and that works really well. And I've got a second email address, which is just claims at the Injury Solicitor, and that's just more generic. It just gives me a different option of maybe sending emails from them. I don't use it very often. And that's pretty much it. So I've really focused on really essential areas of technology that I knew I needed to get my business off the ground, to get those clients coming in, because ultimately that's the most important thing. How are you going to get your clients in? Your clients need to be able to call you. They need to be able to contact you by email. And then when they do, how do you make sure that that data is safe? And how do you not sort of lose where you're up to with these clients and new inquiries and things like that? And that's where Clio comes in, and you then, you know, transfer all that data onto Clio, where it's all safe and it's there, and you can access it whenever you need it.
So it does very much, the way you're describing it, very much sounds like your goal is really making the client experience much easier, and therefore making your life more easy as well. Kim, coming to you, what was that digital first kind of approach something that your firm took from this? Like, was it something that you mentally wrote down, or you wrote down somewhere, or how did you decide? Because you're also a 3-person co-founder firm, so there's, or co-partner, there's
we're now,
with that there comes challenges.
Well, we're now 5. So
5, wow, okay.
So I think we always wanted a case management system as well. So we always planned to have that, because we wanted to be cloud-based. We wanted to be mobile, so that we could just work from anywhere and go anywhere. And remember as well, it was mid-pandemic and we were working from home. So we had to do it. You know, it wasn't an option to sort of you know, have a situation where we were dealing with paper files in an office. And the other reason why that was important is because we wanted to make sure that we were like environmentally conscious from the start as well. So it's really important that that you have the tools that allow you to work efficiently while not having paper files all everywhere. So you have to be able to file things so that you can recover them easily. You have to be able to you know, store them in a way that's really clear and that you can access what you need. I think, like Eleanor, I was using other systems at my previous firm, and it wasn't always easy to find what you were looking for, and you had to do a lot more work to make sure that you filed things properly so that you could find them. So I think it was important to us to have something that was really, really easy to use. So I think I just remember sitting down the first day. I think we'd already had a look at sort of case management systems, and that was already a plan. And we had trials of a few of them, and you know, some were great. Most of them had things that were good about them, and then had things that weren't as good about them. And we went with Clio just because it was so user friendly, and we just loved the flexibility and the way that everything was set out and how easy it is to use. And we haven't been let down at all, I should say. So it's really great. And the other thing, I think we just kind of knew that you need an email. You know, so you can run a law firm, which is bizarre, but when you really break it down, you need an email address, you need a phone number, and you need some Word files, documents. So the first thing you want is Office 365 or something like that, really, isn't it? Or the Mac equivalent. And you want an email address. And if you've got a phone number, then you can carry on doing your work, but you won't last very long like that, because it's just too it just takes too long, it's too slow, and you then have to have your computer with you, so because you've got all your files on your system. So you tend to grow out of that pretty quickly. So we started with an email address. We started like Eleanor did with a mobile phone, and then realized actually maybe people want to ring us. And I think it was on like our first day, we kind of sat there and went, oh, maybe we should get like a landline number. How do we do that? And I'd heard of Moneypenny. I don't know whether everyone knows Moneypenny, like the receptionist. And I thought, I wonder whether they just do the phone number without the receptionist service, because obviously we were just trying to be as tight as we could. And they did. So we got a landline number through those, and it just diverts to your phone. So it's really easy. It's really easy to use. It just goes through to your mobiles. So we were starting with just mobiles and laptops and things like that. And then once we got going, you then start to use other technology, and it just sort of comes in as you go along, and you find out about other things that you can use that are helpful. And the aim for us has always been to use whatever we can that makes it easy for the clients and easy for us. So we want to make their lives easier, our lives easier. So we actually have a whole bunch of text that we use to open up channels of communication, so that we have as many ways of communicating with clients as we can, so that they can get into contact with us in a way that suits them. And which also takes into account the way that people buy services these days. You know, you don't sort of look through Yellow Pages anymore and ring up a landline. You're sitting at home at 10 o'clock at night, you know, surfing on Facebook or Instagram or something, and you think, oh gosh, I really should do that. And then you message in that way. So we use all of that tech for communication that we can. And then so that's the communication side. And then on the other part is the way that we do the actual work. So we use tech as well to make us as efficient as possible, and to capture as much legal knowledge as we can, to share as much legal knowledge as we can, and to make the service that we provide, you know, the best that it can be, the fastest that it can be, and what it is that the clients are needing. So that's what we use technology for, and how we decide which products to get.
And when it comes to the rest of your team, or even deciding on the technology, is there someone at your firm that is kind of seen as they're the go-to person to decide? Is it you or is it someone else? And how do you then get that kind of buy-in? Because I know a lot of firms do struggle with that at that size, that kind of, and also people can be at loggerheads over, no, I want this one, no, I want this one. How do you?
I think we've been pretty good. We don't, the good thing about it being a new firm, and it's something that we don't have with traditional firms and people who've got more of a harder task, is we don't have any legacy stuff. So you're not trying to persuade someone to spend money when they've got something there already. I think that's the hardest thing, is making a decision when you've already got something. Making a decision to get something new or to replace it, I think, is harder than when you've got nothing and you're choosing which one you want, because I think it's easier to sell the thought that actually this piece of technology will help us, and I think we need this technology and this is why, and these are our options for it. I think that's a bit of an easier sell and easier to get people on board than saying, oh, we have this, because we had that same issue. So we were fairly everyone was on board with the same thing to start with, but then as we've gone along, you get to the point where you think, well, here's this other really cool piece of tech that we could get. Do we need it? That's a harder sell. Do we need it? Yeah, it's great, it's wonderful, I love it, but can we justify the spend? What will it add? So I think that's when you get to, it makes it a little bit more harder sell. But it's just weighing up then the benefits and the costs. And I think it's better if you can delegate someone to deal with the tech than having a committee decide, because you won't get anywhere. So who makes the decisions? I don't know, Mindy.
Are there specific kind of questions, like going back to those early days, like the things that you looked at? I think, Elena, you pointed out some, like the trial, the cost, like are there specific things that for Vine Law that, Kim, that you guys were trying to tick off, or said we definitely need something for that?
Flexibility was important. So a lot of the things that a lot of the time the tech that we was attracted to was stuff that came with flexible contracts or not great tie-ins, because we just didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know how we were going to go. We didn't know, you've had a trial and you can see how it works, but you don't necessarily want to be tied in for 3 years to something that you're not even sure whether this whole gamble is going to work, so flexibility in the terms that were offered was also important to us, as well as the system itself and the tech itself.
Okay. I just wanted to call out to people, I think Zoom may have changed their settings since the last webinar I ran. So I think they've updated now. You can select everyone in the drop down and it'll send the question to everybody. And then also the host and panelists just comes to us. So if you're wanting to comment or anything like that, please use the everyone drop down, and apologies. I didn't stay up with the tech of Zoom and their updates. So yeah, feel free to use that as well.
I think as well, I just want to mention, before I probably forget, what Kim mentioned there is really, really important. So you can, at the beginning, you're going to be feeling overwhelmed, whether it's to do with technology or whether it's to do with the fact that you're starting your own business, which is incredibly overwhelming. You're going to feel exhausted and overwhelmed with just the amount of choice out there. You will have people trying to sell you everything and anything. I still have people trying to sell me ID verification software when I don't need it. Like I don't need that software, but I still have people trying to sell it to me. I still have people trying to sell me case management systems off the back of my posts about Clio and the fact that I use them as a case management system. These things don't stop. What's really important is to have your focus and your priorities sorted when you're looking for these providers. And these aren't just sort of tech providers. These are companies who you are going to essentially build relationships with. Like, I feel like I have a relationship with Clio, even though they're technically a software company. There are people behind that company. So when you have problems or you have questions, you know, you can call them 24/7 and ask for help. And that's really, really important. And that's something that you only really realize a few months into your business, or even possibly as soon as a few weeks into your business, when you're setting things up. Are they responsive? Do they respond to your emails? Will there be somebody there if you call them? Will they help you? I've had a load of issues with my phone software, things that, to be honest, no fault of theirs. It's probably just me and the way I'm using it and the way calls are recorded. But I had a lot of questions about getting that set up and working properly. And there was somebody always there to respond, if not the same day, then the next day. And it's that relationship that you build with them that you actually realize, actually, they're suppliers, they're people that are supporting me, supporting my business. And that's really, really important, because with technology, it's often not a one-off purchase. It's not like buying a printer and that's done. There's an ongoing relationship. There's also an ongoing cost, and that's quite important to remember, that you should be getting value for money in terms of the service that you're paying for. But it's really important to think, right, I need a phone system, or I want call recording or whatever. But the company that you pick, are they going to be responsive? Are they going to help you? Are they going to respond to your emails? Are you going to be getting a service that you're paying for? And that's where it's really important to try and avoid getting yourself tied into contracts. Like, I couldn't avoid it with my call recording. I had to sign into a 12-month contract. I wasn't entirely comfortable with it, but that only cost me £25 a month. So it wouldn't be the end of the world if that contract didn't work out for whatever reason. There'd probably be ways around it. So, but if it was more expensive, I would probably be looking at it and thinking, right, where am I going to be in 12 months? Am I going to survive? Is my business going to survive? Will I still be here? Or will the business not work, and will I be tied into a 12-month contract that I've then got to pay for? So it's things like that. And with Clio, it's a running monthly contract, so there aren't any long-term contracts there. Most providers now will offer that flexibility because they're in competition with other companies who are offering that flexibility. So they're going to try and sell their services in that way. But it is still really important to sort of have that in the back of your mind. The other thing as well is that I was quite overwhelmed with the choice of technology out there, and I went down a route of getting an app for my clients to use. So an app that they can download, and they can basically track the progress of their claim. And within the first few months, I hadn't used it. I'd had so much going on in terms of Clio and my phones and my emails that the app just it just never got used. So I ended up cancelling that. And I was quite lucky. And that was a monthly rolling contract. If it wasn't, I'd be stuck with that, paying for that for 12 months where I wasn't using it. So it's really important to sort of think, right, what are my clients going to benefit from, and what am I going to benefit from? Ultimately, you both want to have that streamlined experience where if your clients have a good experience, you're going to have a good experience, because you're not going to have your clients calling you all the time, frustrated, not knowing what's going on, because you're not communicating with them, or they don't know what's happening with their case. So it's both of those things where you have got to really put yourself into your client's shoes and think, right, what would I want? Like, do I really want an app to tell me that there's no progress on my case for 3 months? Or do I want my solicitor to feel comfortable in the case management that they're using, or that their emails are there and they'll just drop me a quick email and give me an update or give me a quick call? It's things like that isn't always easy when you're setting up a firm, because you actually don't know, but you can use your experience from your previous employment roles and then use that to better the service that you offer to your clients.
I think you pointed out something as well at the start, Elena, that the scalability aspect of it. So there's that wariness of, okay, I'm starting a firm. I really hope it's going to go well, but I don't know if it will. And so I need that flexibility, that kind of get out clause. Yeah. But then there's also the other side of that. If it goes really well and you're, hiring and your cases are coming in, and then how does your technology then scale with that, and having that option as well. And I think there's to look at it from both lenses, and to look at also when you're going into a contract or any sort of agreement that you're looking at it from both lenses, and how does that technology and scale? Are there, it does, once I get to 10 licenses, does then it cost a huge chunk, and what does that look like? So yeah, some good points raised there. We have a few questions that are coming in here. One from David, looking for bundling software that integrates with Clio, if anyone has any suggestions. So there's two that come to mind, Bundle Docs and Hyperlaw are two integrations that I am aware of. There could be others. We have over 80 on our integrations page on our website. Kim, Elena, I'm not sure if either of you are using either or any sort of bundling doc.
I don't use one at the minute. In fact, I made a list of like things that we are using and things that we might be looking at needing in the future, and bundling stuff is something that is on the radar, but we're not using any yet.
Okay.
I'm not using any at the moment.
Okay. There's another question here around payments, and does anyone use Go Cardless? A nice way to ensure clients pay invoices quickly through automatic payments. Also Xero, of course, that's one of our bigger integrations, and there's the payments elements to that as well. So are either of you using either of those?
We don't use what was the first one? Go
Cardless.
Yeah, no, we don't use that. And so one of the other things I had on there is online payments. So we don't do anything like that at the minute, but we do use accounting integration, but we use Client and Cash Room, which are great as well. And for one of the reasons that Elena said as well, where the ongoing relationship that you have with them as well is really important, because these people are dealing with our accounts. And so it's really important to have that relationship and to have that responsiveness from them. So yeah, we don't use Xero. We went with Client and we went with Cash Room, and they're great. And they all integrate together, so everything just ties in.
Brilliant. Yeah, the team over at Client are fantastic. We know them quite well. So glad to hear you're having a good experience there. Okay, so maybe at this point we'll go into actually some of the technologies that you are using. I know you've mentioned some of them already, but we could do like a quick run through of some of them. And if people have questions about them, feel free to pop them in. So Ellen, I'll come to you first if you have that list handy and you want to run through.
Yeah, my list is really, really basic. So I use a company called Retail, and they do everything to do with my phone. So my phone software. So I have an app on my actual laptop where I can just dial the numbers, give them a call. I have a headset here somewhere that I just use. So my hands are free. I can just be typing up whilst the clients are speaking. The same for my mobile. I downloaded an app on my mobile, and I can make and receive calls. I can listen to my voicemails on there. So yeah, and also you do get a web page that you then log into to access your call recording. So I download them and then I'll just add them to Clio. I just pop them into Clio as a document, and I save it as a call recording. Obviously Office 365, Outlook for my emails. I've just got the 2 email addresses that I use at the moment, and with Clio have a mail Dropbox, and there's an integration that can go straight into your Clio account in terms of saving your emails. Other than that, it's just Clio, the case management system. As I mentioned, I did have an app which the clients would have downloaded, signed up to, and then I would be updating the app through an online website as to what's going on with those cases. I could share documents with clients that way as well. But Clio could really do a lot of those things. It just didn't seem necessary. And that app was costing about £30 a month. So to me, it was just an added expense that I wasn't really getting a lot of use out of. So I chose to cancel that after the first couple of months. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I've kept it really, really simple. And I think as well, what you mentioned there is about scaling. So at the moment, I'm in the process of trying to make my first hire. When I get a moment, I will do the draft for the job spec, and I will get that out there. But yeah, so then all these things now, you've got to double up. Essentially, you've got to get another license for Clio. You'll have to get another license for the phones to use. So that's really, really important. You know, when you're starting out a business, thinking, right, it might just be you, and yeah, I can afford 50 quid a month or 30 quid a month or 25 quid a month, but can you afford that when it's double or triple that? And what does that mean, you know, to you as a business and for your cash flow? Because that's in addition to having a salary to pay. So that's really, really important. And that's where the cost is actually a really important factor, because other software programs like Proclaim, for example, will maybe double or triple the price. And yeah, okay, I could maybe afford it for myself, but can I afford it when I'm growing or when I have to add staff? And that actually suddenly becomes a really huge expense. And there's a lot of expenses, you know, running a law firm is not cheap. Regardless of how tight you might be when you're starting your business, the cost will add up quite quickly.
Thank you, Elena. And Kim, come over to you now.
So we use a lot of the things that Elena mentioned. So we use Outlook for email as well. Office 365 is great. And Office 365 has a lot of functionality that, that is worth taking the time to look at. For example, it has a really, really good dictation system. So you can literally just bring up a Word document and hit the microphone button and dictate, and your letter will be there. I feel bad for the secretaries, but the secretaries who aren't now getting hired, but it is really good. And iPhone has a similar technology. So we use Clio and the Clio app that Elena mentioned earlier as well. But when it comes to being on the go, the phone itself has a functionality that allows you to dictate. And so if I combine the two, I open up my Clio app and I hit attendance note or whatever. And then I use the voice recognition to dictate an attendance note directly to phone, which is super cool. We use Client that I mentioned and Cashroom as well for our accounting. We have obviously the website, and then I stuck a chatbot on there. Actually, we get quite a bit of usage of that chatbot. And the chatbot is called Talk, T-A-W-K. And that's free. Some parts of it are free and some parts of it are not. So we just put that on the website, and yeah, and people can contact us through there. We use all the social media channels. So, you know, Instagram, Facebook, and you can't forget all of those. And I know Elena uses all of those as well to communicate with people. Usually it's just the initial inquiry that we get through, and then you filter them back through to everything else. Obviously we're using Teams and Zoom all the time to talk to clients or to engage in things like this. We use, what else do we use? We dabbled with HubSpot. It's a if you don't know, it's a type of CRM. I say dabbled because lawyers are not the best salespeople, and getting us used to looking at your business as a sales business and to sort of track that progress is something new for all of us. So it's actually been really interesting to learn the sales process and to keep a track of that and learn about making a pipeline. And, you know, it's not something that we ever trained to do, but it's super interesting. And I'm really enjoying doing that. So we did dabble a little bit with HubSpot, but I don't know, we'll keep going, I think. And we had to upgrade our phone system as well. So with, because we're now 5, so with Moneypenny you had 3 users, but you couldn't sort of transfer calls to each other, and we sort of grew out of it a bit. So we've got a similar system to Elena's called Mobex, basically, where we have a bunch of landline numbers, and we can move them between each other and answer calls on the laptop as well. So there we are. That's what we're using at the minute. But watch this space.
Long list, yeah.
There's a lot. Not all of it costs anything. You know, because a lot of, you know, social media as a communication channel, chatbot as a communication channel, you know, those things are all free. The phones we have anyway, so we don't pay anything for additional dictation systems. It's just something that we have.
Yeah.
And obviously you pay licenses for Office 365, but the functionality in there is amazing. Even to things like if we want to create sort of professional looking brochures and stuff like that. Oh, I should mention Canva as well.
Oh,
so
I love Canva.
We love Canva. You know, if you don't have a massive marketing budget or no marketing budget at all, and you've got to do your social media, then there are some great there's some great tech out there. What do you call it? Like graphic design or whatever it is, like that helps you just make really cool posts on social media.
How do you find out about these different technologies, and especially the free ones as well? And that is an important thing to call out in those early days. Like if you're not sure, if you want to try something, like Elena, you mentioned the 7-day free trial, like try something for free. But how do you find out about these? Like
I ask on LinkedIn. I'll put a post out saying, can anyone recommend this? Also, you know what, you will probably know a lot of people who are in different jobs, who you can ask questions. Like I know somebody in marketing, and I'll ask them questions when it's to do with marketing. I think they told me about, I think it's called Hotjar, don't quote me on that, but it records when somebody's on your website and what they're doing, and it'll send you a copy of that recording for you to be able to analyze, right, where are they spending the most time, where are they just not looking at all, and then seeing how you can improve things like that. And that's where, like, not knowing about these things is actually really, really frustrating. But at the time, because you don't know about it, you're none the wiser. You're not frustrated. You only feel frustrated when you realize that things like this exist that could have made your life a lot easier. But I think that's what's quite exciting about technology. I think the fact that there's always something new. When you think of something that frustrates you and you feel annoyed about it, you've just got to think, actually, is there an app that solves this? If there isn't, then maybe you should design it. but there probably is. And that's really, really interesting, because for me, obviously, that phone thing that I mentioned was really frustrating. I didn't want to plug in a phone into my landline in my house and be tied in. Tied to that. So I wanted a landline and I wanted it on my mobile. And I know to some people it might seem like a really basic thing, but until you do it and until you have that problem and you solve it, you don't know that there are solutions to that. And that's quite exciting, I think, when you're starting a business, because you start your own business because, let's face it, you're frustrated with the way things are going where you currently are. And that's why you start your own business. It's born out of frustration. So you want to do things better. And there's a lot of other people that have been frustrated with a lot of things. And that's where technology comes from. That's where it develops. And there are so many solutions out there. Like Canva is brilliant. It's amazing. Like there's no way you would be able to make pictures look like that for your Instagram, for your Facebook. And it's there. And it's what, $10.99 a month. And there's a free version. And the free version is actually excellent as well. And I think I was on the free version for a few months. And then I upgraded to the paid version, and at the moment I don't actually have the time to do social media posts, so I've paused it. So you can pause these things as well, so you don't have to necessarily cancel an account. You can probably, whoever you're using, say, can I pause it because I've not, I can't use it this month, I don't want to pay for it, I've not used it. I mean, just to sort of put it into context, I probably spend less than £100 on my tech that I use a month in my business. Other than Clio and my call recording, so where there's no really a monthly expense. So all in all, it's probably under £100. Obviously, for one person, that might seem really good, but you have 5 members of staff, and that's suddenly, £500 a month to find from somewhere to be able to pay for it. I'm slightly different as well. I know there were mention of like card payments and things like that. I'm a no win, no fee solicitor. So in terms of cash flow, that's an issue for me. I don't bill my clients, unfortunately. I've got to settle their cases, I've got to win their cases and then get paid. So that's something to bear in mind, but I am integrated with Xero. I have help on the legal cashiering side as well. So it's things like that that work really well. But tech itself is there to make your life easier. It shouldn't be overwhelming. It shouldn't be something that stresses you out or causes you to worry. And get it right at the start. Take your time sort of finding the right companies, and it will make your life so much easier in the long run.
On the other side of that, tech is there to make things easier and make things easier for your client. Elena, we were talking just before we started the call around the client experience and some clients who don't embrace technology, and there are some clients who are forced to embrace technology because of the last year. How are you finding, managing those clients? And Kim, going to you as well on that one. Do you have some of
I
those
force my clients to get on board with it. Like, so I have 2 clients at the moment who insist on me sending. So one client doesn't have an email address. So to me, I was like, oh my gosh, no. So it's finally happening. Someone doesn't have an email address. He's got a very good reason for it. Well, that's, you know, he's got a reason, but he doesn't have an email address. So to me, that was like, oh gosh, what do I do? So I mean, I had to get a printer. I am almost entirely paperless. I don't hold files, I don't hold anything like that. I insist on people sending things across to me by email. I really want to avoid using paper or, you know, adding to all of that. So I really want to be an entirely paperless office. But when you have a client who says they don't have an email address, or I have another client who says, no, we do want copies in the post of things that we need to sign. And I don't know, maybe that comes from a little bit of a distrust in technology. Maybe they think, well, you send them an email and they can't read it properly, or they can't see the document properly on their phone. So why should they be signing something that they can't read? They'd rather have it in paper. It's perfectly fine. In no scenarios I say, yeah, okay, I will send it to you in the post, but let's try for really simple documents. I'll send you a link. If you really don't like, this is the brilliant thing about Clio, they're integrated with HelloSign, and HelloSign, you have your own account, you can sign in, you can send reminders to people where documents are outstanding. Once a client signs it, you get a copy of that fully signed, completed document. The client gets a copy as well. In fact, the client has a better record of all the documents that they sign with your firm if they do it through the e-sign function than they would if you send them a copy of the letter. They sign it, then they send it back to you. They've not even got a copy of that letter anymore. It's really difficult. Some clients can be very old school, and they say, no, we want it in the post. And you've just got to persuade them, let's try it. When you get this document, if you honestly can't click through it and e-sign it, give me a call and I will talk you through it whilst we're on the phone. Some younger clients as well are a little bit reluctant. I sort of mentioned before that I've got clients in their late teens, early 20s, and they say, oh, well, how do you e-sign something? And then they do it straight away and there's absolutely no problems. But I think it's just for a lot of clients, I mean, they're not dealing with solicitors every day. And that's really important to remember. They have their own lives, they have their own jobs, they have their own families. Sometimes when a solicitor says, can you e-sign it to me? They've not got a clue what you're saying. So you've just got to explain. You'll get an email, it will have a link, it will take you to the document, and it will literally walk you through what you need to do. Once the client does it once, then, you know, they won't go back. They won't be asking for any for you to be sending them any letters in the post. I mean, the post at the moment is so unreliable, and speed and efficiency is really, really important in a startup business where I am relying on my cases to be settled, for money to come in. I can't afford to wait 4 weeks for somebody to receive a letter, to read it and then send it back to me. The clients don't really want to be waiting that long either. When you explain the advantages of using technology and things like e-sign, you can quickly convert them and get them on board, I think.
Thanks, Elena. Kim, are you finding the same, or are you seeing that kind of move? Has the client kind of expectation moved already for you?
I think I was already fairly, me personally, the way that I work is very email heavy anyway. We do have a lot of, because we do private client work as well. So we have a lot of older clients and they tend to be more traditional. So we had to get a printer as well. And we just post things if that's how they prefer to do it. So we just do whatever they need.
Yeah, I think that's the important thing, that digital first doesn't mean it's all digital.
That way, no.
It's just that's your preferred way, but you're being client-centered also as well, and what the client wants as well. Great. So I think we're pretty much there on questions. We've covered off on all of our agenda points as well. So I'm going to at this point just quickly share my screen again. One moment. You should be seeing my screen. So yeah, I want to quickly call out that if you are enjoying these events that we're hosting on a monthly basis, we do have our annual flagship conference, the Clio Cloud Conference, taking place every October. And this year's event is on the 26th to 29th of October. It'll be the 9th annual edition of the Clio Cloud Conference. So you will truly be on Cloud 9. And each year the conference brings together thousands of professionals from around the world. The event is entirely virtual. You can expect an extraordinary keynote speaker lineup. I've heard of some of them. They're under wraps right now. Their announcements are coming soon. But in the past, we've had Ben Crump, Seth Godin, Angela Duckworth, and yeah, there'll also be Clio product sessions, legal tech contests, roundtables, networking on a global scale. So really is a worthwhile event. Erica, my colleague who's on the line, will share a link to that event if you're interested in purchasing an early bird pass. And of course, we know plans can change. So if you purchase a pass and you can no longer attend, you can get a refund up until September 24th. And finally, I would like to thank Kim and Elena for joining us today, especially Kim for jumping on at the last moment to join us and to share. And you did an expert job on sharing all of your tips, both of you, for our firms that are on the line. And we look forward to next month's session, which will be a sneak peek for everybody. It's going to be around recruitment and onboarding. So we're going to tackle that subject. So stay tuned for that. And all that's left to say is have a wonderful day wherever in the world you are. And thank you for joining us.